Hello and welcome. In this video, we will be covering if statements. If statements are used to control the flow of a program based on conditions or decisions. There are few types. Number one is simple if statement. Simple if statement is used to execute the block of code if a condition is true. First of all, let me create a new Python file. The name if statement. Now if I say x, which is a variable, and I give it a value of 10, now I want to check if x is greater than 5 and say something like print yes, x is greater. Now if I execute this code, it will print yes, x is greater than 5. And now if I say x is smaller than 5, it will not execute this line of code. For that, we need another statement called if-else. If-else is used to execute one block of code if a condition is true and another block if it is false. So let me say something like else print x is greater than 5. X is smaller than 5. Now if I execute it, it will execute this specific line of code. See, x is greater than 5. Now if both of our conditions are false, like if this and this both conditions are false, what we gonna do? We're gonna use another statement called if, elif, and else statement. If, elif, and else is used to check multiple conditions and execute different block of codes. Now in the same example, if I say x is greater than 20, elif x is equal to 10, print condition satisfied, and else print x condition is condition not satisfied. Now if I says, it will execute condition is satisfied because actually x is equals to 10. So here this block of code is executed like x equals to 10. Now if I say something like 15 or 14, it will say condition not satisfied because here it didn't find a suitable option, neither here it find, so it actually execute this line of code. If you see here, these are called operators. This is equality operator, this is the greater operator, and there are a lot of other operators. For that, I will open idle shell. So if I say 4 equals to 4, which is an equal operator, and it will say that 4 is equals to 4, which is true, and this is not an equal operator, it is actually called an assignment operator. So we cannot use this operator for the same thing. It is actually used for variable like this. You need to understand that this is an equal operator and this is called an assignment operator. Okay, 4 is not equals to 5. What we gonna use? We will use exclamation mark like this with equal sign and say that 4 is not equals to 5, and it will say true. Now if I say 4 is not equals to 4, it will say false. There are other signs like 2 is greater than 1 and 2 is smaller than 3. Okay, now if I say that 2 is greater than or equals to 3, or say 1, so this condition will be true because at the same time it is using the greater sign and equals to operator. If one of these conditions met the criteria, it will execute true. Okay, and if I say 2 is greater than or equals to 3, it will say false. We can also use 2 is smaller or equals to 3, it will say true. 2 is smaller or equals to 1, it will say false. Okay, we can also use AND operators and OR operators. In the AND operators, both the conditions must be true. Okay, so if I say 3 is greater than 2, 3 is greater than 2 and 4 is greater than 5, so it will give me false. Okay, now if I say 3 is greater than 1 and 4 is greater than 3 or 2, it will say true. Okay, but in the OR operators, one condition must be true. So if I say 3 is greater than 2 or 4 is greater than 5, which is actually false, so it will print true instead of false. Okay, but if both the conditions are false, like 3 is greater than 4 or 4 is greater than 5, it will execute false. These are some basic operators used inside the if-else statements. Okay, now let me give you practical example of if-else statement. Okay, I will remove this. Write a program that asks the user to enter an athlete name. Based on this, the program should then tell if that player is a cricket star, football star or UFC star. It actually wants us to create 3 variables like cricket, football and UFC. For that we will actually build 3 variables. Now player equals to input and enter an athlete name. As we discussed earlier in the last video, what is input function used for? It will ask the user to write the name of an athlete. Now we will use if, elif and else statement for this specific program. If I say if player in cricket, okay, print cricket star. Elif player in football, print football star. Elif player in UFC, print UFC star. And else print I do not know about this player. This is it. Okay, so first of all we created 3 variables or list. Okay, one is for the cricket players, the other is for the football players and the other is for the UFC players. After that we created an input function and store it inside the player variable. Now this function will ask the user to write an athlete name. After this we have created an if, elif and else block, where at first stage we will ask if this player, the name that is input by the user, is in cricket or not. If it is in cricket, it will tell that it is a cricket star. Now in the elif block we say that if the player is in football, print football star. If the player is in UFC, print UFC star. And if we type some other name which is not in the list, it will print I do not know about this player. Let me run this program. Or say, if I say Khabib, it will say UFC star. If I run it again, I will say that Ronaldo, it will say football star. And now if I say Babar, it will say cricket star. And now if I say my name Sam, it will say I do not know about this player because I did not put my name inside these three lists. Okay, but you need to be aware that all of the name inside this list are uppercase. Okay, the first letter of the names are uppercase. So if I say now Virat, it will say I do not know this player. So you need to be aware of this problem. Okay, I hope you will understand if, elif and else statements in Python. Thanks for watching the video.